Hey guys, welcome back. We're going to be doing this text morph effect. I picked this up from watching one of Harry Blend's old YouTube videos. I was kind of thinking about this and kind of wanting to extend it across just the spline morph, but to kind of anything. So the main thing is we're going to be doing points as well as the splines. And what's cool is we have the mesh from after we kind of remesh the splines, we can kind of do anything on top of it. So let's just dive right in. So we're going to be going into geometry nodes, and we're going to be using basically just the spline string to curves. Just kidding. String to curves. We'll do 2 of them, and we're going to do just a test. And this one can be like, I could type, which is a big if. Okay, cool. So looking through, we have this coming through. It's nice. You can change the spacing to be centered. It's going to look a little bit better. We have the 2 options for the text. We want to switch between them. So what are we going to do this? So we look at this, and if we mouse over and we hold, we can see we're saying 4 instances. So initially, we got to realize these instances. That's the first thing we have to do. So both of these need to no longer be instances. Now after this, we can see that this is 102 points and 13 splines, right? And then this one is 52 points and 5 splines. We also see this down here, 52 and 5, right? Cool. So between the 2, how can we kind of remap them? So we have kind of 2 destinations, and the question is, what are we going to use to remap it? We can use just a curved circle. So this is going to be 1 spline and a bunch of points, right? So 32 points and 1 spline. So this is kind of be the idea of like combining the 2. So we have a different count of splines for both of these. This one has 5, this is 13. So how many of these should we have? Should do a duplicate elements, set it to 13. So we know minimum we're going to have enough to basically drive all of it, right? So that's going to be enough splines now. So here it's going to say actually 416 points and 16 splines. Oh, whoops, my bad. On spline. So now it says 416 points and 13 splines. Perfect. So now the question is, how can we automate this depending on the different size? It's really easy to do. What we can take is a domain size, the domain of what? The curves. We're plugging this in, and now we have a spline count. Do the same thing here. We have that spline count, and what we can do is compare. So the question is the larger of the 2. So we're going to do a maximum, which is compare nodes. We plug in this spline count here, this one here, and now it's going to give 13, right? That goes right there. So regardless of how we change this, this will now make sure that our overall maximum spline count is going to stay the same. As we change this, it will shift, right? So that's pretty cool. So if this was changed to, I don't know, blah, 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 the amount of splines we need to have here is going to be bigger. And now it's 38 splines because it's such a huge, long lot of text. Go back to subscribe because that's the most important thing for you guys to know. So that's the basic setup. So now we have these splines coming in. We want to remap them and have them go for, what's it called? We want to have it go for the shape of the text overall. So how do we do that? Set position. Set position of what? These splines up here. And then what we're going to do is take those positions and then kind of map it on. So how can we do this? Looking right here, it's a circle. Very cool. Plop it in there. And we can do is we can do a sample index node of what it's going to be of the spline. Of which spline? This spline. And what the positions we were going to want? We're going to want vectors of the position and the index. So we're sampling the index of everything. This field value right here, it's going to be a field into the index of everything and this position of all of that across those index points. We plug it into here, and now we're kind of getting somewhere. We're getting a bit of a change, which is cool. So the question is, why is it not working? Well, the points don't have enough, resolution. How can we do that? We can do a resample curve, if I did this correctly. So resample curve, pop it in here. It's not going to work. Let's resample curve. We pop it in there. Maybe what the answer is that I messed this up here. Shouldn't be a spline. It should still be the points. There we go. Now it's working. So if we do that, then we can find the number of points we need to have it be. Actually, I think the number of points needs to match this resolution here. So if it's too much, it's not working. But if it's just right, it's working perfectly, as we can see. But this number is not big enough. So how can we fix this? So we know a couple things here is this can be repeated. So let's just grab all of this, do a group, back it out, and let's just call this like point sample or point position, right? Down here, we take this guy, resample here, plug it in. So now it's working. Very cool. We have these kind of going through and it's working pretty cool, but the resolution's not high enough. So how can we fix that? We can do a value node, I guess an index node, plug it into here, not an index, an integer node. There we go. Plug it in here, plug it in here, and plug it in here. 50 looks high enough. Maybe it's not high enough. Maybe we can go like 80. No, let's do 100. There we go. Now we're getting these like sharp lines. It's looking cool. And then how can we mix between the two of them? We can both agree we have the like positional data of these splines correctly. So how do we have it work perfectly? So if we take a mix node, then we're to do the vector, take this in with the position and use this, we can then have it go through. It's morphing through. So right here, it's morphing nicely, right? But I don't like how these letters are just kind of being like still around. I want that to kind of go away. So how can we deal with that? So then now what we have is, it seems to be working, but we're having this not kind of work perfectly. This extra subscribe part is not kind of like being used as it's going through, and it's kind of going to 0. And Harry Blends had a really good workaround of doing this. I'm not exactly sure why we can't do a duplicate, but he was saying something basically like, this is not going to mess up with the indexing by just doing it, like duplicating the geometry right here. So it's adding more positional data for it. So we're kind of getting this kind of duplicated in this join. So then now there's position spots for all of these different things as it's going through, as you see, right? But then the real trick is we got to change where we're doing our domain size counting. So if we take this, pop it in, take one of these guys and put it here, and the other guy and put it there, right? We're then gonna have it work much more cleanly. So now it's flowing as you kind of would expect. And since a letter is being reused, it's just kind of working how we hope to see. Isn't that cool? Nice. So I would say it's overall fixed. Cool. So we have that going through and now it's good to go. So we have like basically the spline working with it being transformed over time, right? But also too, it's like, could this happen with something else rather than just spline data? So up here at spline data, right? But we also could do something else. If we just did a similar method, so we have this curve count, duplicating, and this should still work. So what if we did points instead? Oops, if we did points, use this same counter, use Control-Shift-D, use the same logic for the duplication, make this points, and plug it in here. And what's nice is the logic still works perfectly. So we can have this also be points if we wanted to have it just be points, right? That's pretty cool. So it's irrespective of how we want to do this, it's going to work, which is really nice. So I think that's pretty fun. And the points will match perfectly. Isn't that cool? So on this, for me, what I want to do instead is just do some basic noise across it. So what can we do? We have this set up, we have the motion, which is nice. So now what we need to do is kind of mesh it and figure it out. So what we can do is we can take, let's do this, delete that guy and that guy, cool. So we can do a fill curve and let's just do one. And then we can do extrude mesh. And we can make it much smaller. Then as this goes through, it will morph and change. Isn't that fun? Nice. So now what I want to do is add some noise on the overall mesh. So I'll just go back here before I do all of this. And I'll go, before it's still a curve, I'll do a set position. So now we see it's still a curve. And I'm going to do a noise texture. Put this into a math, vector math, minus 0.5, and plug it into the offset. Blows it up. It's too much. And so what we can do is we can play with these values to make it a bit more clean. Let's do a combine X, Y, Z, and let's just put it in the X, in the Y, and no Z. Keeps it flat. And then what we're gonna wanna do is play with these. So lacunarity will make it really squiggly, and so will distortion. I kind of like that. So that's what I'm gonna work with, and we can do the 4D to have this go over time. I think the scale is just overall too big. And what we can do as well is add a blur attribute to smooth it out a little bit. So let's do a blur attribute, plug this in as a vector, plug a lot, 1470, it's gonna go back in time to what's to like 8. This is too much, 1.5 maybe, 1, still too much, 0.5 maybe. Maybe even use a scale node here. Go over time, we're just kind of going back and forth. So that's going to be playing with these different factors in order to have it work. The more iterations on this, it's going to change the overall timing of everything. So if we keep it low, nice, I'm happy with it. And then this will also change the animation. So now all we got to do is add in a float curve and a scene time. So we do the float curve, which will drive this guy, and we'll do a scene time. And let's just do a 3-second animation. So 180 frames, we're going to do 60, take the frame, divide it by 180. Now it's going from 0 to 1. We have it interpolating. I can go over time, it should work. And then we may want to add some time beforehand where it's doing nothing. So if I just pull it like this, like that, should actually work now, right? Yeah, now there's just a few frames where it's not moving. And then this number can actually go into, and I might actually multiply it. Math, too much, 2 is probably. And then what we can do is modulo it, right? So we need to go back. So if we actually do this as a ping pong, maybe, let me think about this. So we do a ping pong. So it's splitting to 0.5 and doing it. No, so if I did ping pong here, let's do 90. Let's say 1, we'll do it twice. Yeah, there we go. Now we're getting it to ping pong, which looks nice. And we do augury. Nice, okay, it's looking good. Set material. Honestly, the noise, it's a little bit too, I think we should act way less. Yeah, let's just mute it all. I'll say 0.5 so it's big so we can see it. Let's mute this. Yeah, it looks better when it's clear. Now we're in shading, we go to our material. What are we gonna do? The lazy one, because that's the way to do it. So we're gonna do lazy. We're gonna do a mesh, plane, scale, 10, grab, hold this way closer. On to chunky. Nice, so this is, I would say, where I'm at. I'm happy with the animation. I think it's a good little loop. I'm happy with it. I'm gonna render it out and we'll see what happens. Let's just go over it one more time so it all makes sense. So we have the whole system here. It's kind of a bit of a beast. We're taking in initially 2 strings with curves. We're realizing them and we're having the geometry joined a few times to get extra spline data. We're gonna use a domain size for both of them to choose how many times we're gonna duplicate the elements. We're then going to use this in this node group right here, using a sample index of position and index to get this position vector. That's going to be using the mix between the set position for us to have this nice spline offset. I'm animating with a scene time, a divide, and a ping pong. And then I can or cannot use noise if I decide to. There's a nice little thing to do. And I'm setting material. Hope you guys tried it yourself. Hope you guys learned something about set positions and kind of general stuff. Thanks so much for watching. Hope to see you guys in the next one. And remember, the project's going to be on my Patreon as well for free. Feel free to grab it.
Augury.